What's up, everybody, and welcome to the newest series on the channel, Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. I'm gonna go ahead and be upfront about this. I'm not gonna call anybody's name like me or anything because I'm the only one here, but somebody forgot to turn on the phantom power to the microphone before starting this recording. So I did this whole long episode and there is no commentary. So now I'm having to do post-commentary. And I am not a fan of doing post-commentary. So please, please, please bear with me. As I assure you, I will not make this mistake again. Hopefully. I mean, mistakes happen. But anyway. Welcome to Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. Right here, I had a little bit of an issue figuring out which button put in the name. Turns out it was the A button, and I explained that I was very much used to the A button and the B button typically do the same thing in most Super Nintendo games. So I was, trying to push the B button. Also, ZombieExy will not fit. So I decided to go with just Exy, but on the way there, had a little bit of trouble with getting the backspace to work. Because it worked there, but then I couldn't get it to go forward. So I was like, what the fuck? But anyway, like I said, this is post-commentary. I'm not going to be able to remember everything that I talked about in the main episode, which is a shame because I went over a lot of stuff. But on the brighter side of things, in the original commentary, I could not do a Toad voice because my throat was hurting. But now my throat's not so bad, so you gotta suffer through a Toad voice now. But on the way to all of that, if you've been around since the TOC days, then you probably remember there were a few episodes of Super Mario RPG that were done and then very quickly abandoned. And I'll go over why that is in a few minutes, but Super Mario RPG is definitely one of my all-time favorite RPGs of all time. That's right, it's that important that I had to say of all time that many times. This is why I hate post-commentary, because then I ramble. Alright, take a quick break from that. In this beginning part, try to avoid fighting all of these turtles that you can, because you do not get experience in this part. This is basically just your tutorial area. But, like I was saying, Super Mario RPG is one of my all-time favorites. It actually introduced me to the world of RPGs. And back in the day when I was like, I don't know, 10 or 11 when this came out, I never actually owned a copy of it, but I would rent it from, local video stores. Some of you probably don't know what that is, but places like Blockbuster and all that, you rent movies, and you could also rent video games. So, I was only allowed to rent video games over the weekend, because of school, blah, blah, blah. So, a common problem with renting video games was you often did not get the instruction booklet. And back then, the instruction booklet had a lot of useful information in it other than the whole, we're not responsible if you break your controller crap. And, just like in the original video, I'm not going to do voices in this because I'm explaining stuff. Because I'm trying to keep it as close to the original video as I can. So, hopefully, that's okay. But anyway, if I had had the instruction booklet, then I probably would have understood the game a little bit better. Because like I said, it was my very first RPG. I did not know what an RPG was before this, so I didn't really understand what was going on. I was used to Mario, like Mario 3, Mario World, Yoshi's Island, side-scrollers, just get to the end, don't get hit. This game threw me for a loop because you want to get into battles, and you have to get into battles. But like I said, I didn't understand that, and it wasn't until probably 3 years later, maybe 4 years later, when I got Final Fantasy IX. And at that point, I was like, oh, so that's what an RPG is. And that's what that Mario game was. It was like this Final Fantasy game. So, after playing Final Fantasy IX, I picked up Final Fantasy VII and Mario RPG. And Mario RPG quickly became, like, definitely like my top number 2 or number 3 out of all RPGs. Final Fantasy IX, of course, being number 1. And, you know, I guess there's a little bit of bias there because that was my first one. But, anyway. Once I went back and replayed it, I was like, wow, this game is really cool. Also, Mario has mad fucking jumping skills. And apparently is also a bit of a stripper on the weekends, because, I mean, how is he holding on to that chain? That's some great thigh strength right there. I also didn't show off something where you can actually just sit there and the chains will actually just go up off the top of the screen. I kind of feel bad about not showing that off now. Oops. But anyway, as I played the game, well, first and foremost, the sword that just impaled Bowser's castle, I thought that the sword was like the main protagonist, but as we'll come to find out a little later on, that's not necessarily the case. Also, what luck that Mario decided to install a chimney in his house that is essentially just a giant fucking warp pipe. And why is Toad just hanging out? We're hanging up on the coat rack. Hey Mario! Lots of people use something called a door to go in and out. Anyway, I came by to pick up Toadstool. The fuck? Fuck this, I'm going to sleep. So anyway, there's a lot of elements in this game that are kind of smart-ass, like a lot of people use a door to go in and out, that kids might not necessarily pick up on, at least not when I was a kid. You know, kids these days probably pick up on it. Anyway. Hey, I thought the princess was you, Mario! So where is she? And I'm pretty sure right here I was explaining that I wasn't going to do the Toad voice because my throat was hurting at the time. Mario, what's with the silent treatment? You're not telling me something! It's Bowser again, isn't it? Oh no, here we go again! Mario, would you please bring her and some crack back like you always do? I really need my fix, man! If you're tired, just turn off the fungi light for a snooze! Hello! Mario, you're forgetting something! Come with me and I'll show you! Before you start off, it's best to jump on these boxes and save your progress as possible! In case of an emergency, you can always start over from the last place you saved! Yeah! As you can see, we actually have the old TOC file save still on here. And I guess now is a good time to get into that. So, Mario RPG, for whatever reason, we decided to stream it in the time slot that we had. That, if you weren't around for TOC days, we had this segment or this show that we had called Game Talk, which is like Game Talk, but with TOC, so it was talk. And in that, we basically, the premise of it was to play games and also do, like, you know, trivia or little known facts, kind of like a Did You Know Gaming type thing, but from a Let's Play aspect. And it started off with Duke Nukem Forever, which failed horribly. Not, like, as a series, but the game itself is just a huge fail. But from there, we decided that, for whatever reason, hey, let's live stream Game Talk. And it was supposed to be like a whole viewer interaction thing. And I think we started off with Mario RPG, which at the time was only the second game that I had ever live streamed whatsoever. The first one being Donkey Kong Country. And we realized that because we had a set stream time slot from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. on Mondays, because we did all of our gameplay recording on Mondays, and only on Mondays. But that meant that we had to stop recording whatever else we were doing at like 12:30 and start transitioning and getting things set up for the live stream. Unfortunately, having a hard stop at 12:30 wasn't always great. Oh, wait. Here comes, like, the best line, or one of the best lines in the game. Ah! Now what did I respect? I had something to tell you! Ah! I remember! I came to warn you the mushroom way is swarming with monsters! I just barely made it back here in one piece! Mario, please do something! Perhaps I can help! Excuse me. Do you know about timed hits? Hey, you better watch out! He knows about timed hits! He's gonna punch your lights out! And I scared him away, because I'm the shit. So anyway, because having a hard stop at 12:30 was somewhat not possible all the time, a lot of times we started our stream 10-15 minutes late. But we had a hard stop at 2 o'clock. So by the time we finally got going, instead of having an hour to play, we only had like 45 minutes. And a lot of times during that 45 minutes, we were not able to get to a save box. So when the stream was over, sometimes we would have to continue on until we got to a save box, which meant parts of the game were being left out of the overall Let's Play, which we decided was not a great idea. And when I keep saying we, I mean Aaron and I, because we were Triforce Chaos, or TOC, and, you know, we didn't like that idea, so it got abandoned, and I honestly do not remember why we never continued it as a regular Let's Play series. But overall, that whole streaming from 1 to 2 eventually just died out. So, yeah, that was a thing. So, other than that, I've been wanting to redo Mario RPG now for a while. Like I said, I'm a huge RPG fan. And I've actually got a ton of RPGs up on my board for, you know, games to play. So, this is the first of many. Now, I've explained this several times before that I'm going to try to not do, you know, RPGs back to back to back, and at this point, I am no longer counting Harvest Moon as a primary series, because it got moved to the weekends. And essentially, it's finished. We just have to get to the end of it. So, I didn't have so much of a problem with starting Mario RPG now. after Mario RPG, I don't know what I'll play yet, but it will probably not be another RPG. And I'll kind of, you know, feather them off that way, like RPG, non-RPG, RPG, blah, blah, blah. But with all that said, I think somewhere in here I was explaining timed hits. So the double punch that I do right there, that's a timed hit. It's like a double hit. And if I just do one punch, that means you missed the timed hit. Anytime I squat down like that, that's a defensive timed hit. So if you get a timed hit on the attack side, you do extra damage. If you get a timed hit on the defensive side, you take less damage. And later on with different weapons, there are different animations, of course, but basically anytime there's a double hit, then that's a timed hit. Or anytime you like duck or turn around, that's a defensive time hit. Phew! My life was flashing there for a second! Mostly because I'm high on crack! Why was I taking so long here? Here's a little something in return! Yeah, honey syrup. All of this will come in handy later, all these items that we're collecting from Toad. And then in this area, I am purposely grinding a little bit because I like to be like level 5, at least 4 or 5 before I get to the Mushroom Kingdom, just because it helps. But anyway, if you're interested in another Super Mario RPG playthrough, not to take anything away from my playthrough right now, but if you want to watch a really good one that's funny and all that, I highly, highly recommend Adamant Ditto's playthrough. In fact, I highly recommend pretty much all of their Let's Plays, or Let's Try That Agains. They were actually a huge influence on me wanting to start a channel and how I approach playing games and the way I edit and all that. In fact, if you go through all of their series, you'll probably find several nods to them in like titles or, you know, little bits and pieces that are edited into videos, like I think in possibly the Duke Nukem Forever series there was a pro tip, don't suck, or something like that, which is like straight out of an Adamant Ditto video. And on that note, I am super happy that they're making videos again. They, you know, life happens and you get busy, and they stopped making videos for about a year, maybe even a little longer than a year, but they just started dropping new videos again like in the last couple of weeks, and I'm super excited. I haven't watched any of them yet because I like to binge their stuff. In fact, like right after I finished the Kirby Superstar playthrough, I binged their Kirby Superstar playthrough. And, you know, it's just kind of funny to see like how different everyone plays the same game sometimes. Plus, they're just overall super funny once you get to understand their humor. So I highly recommend checking them out. But from that point, oh, that was perfect timing. Boy, that was a close call! Here's some of my appreciation! Thanks for the flower tab. And now, like, this is actually, like, the area that I do the most grinding in at the beginning of the game. Because Lakitu will just keep throwing Spinies out. And if it gets to the point where he doesn't throw Spinies out anymore, you could just go to the previous screen and come back, and it'll reset everything. But I mean, you can get, I'd say probably 12 experience points easy off of this page. Because there are at least 6 enemies. And you get 2 experience points per battle. So you can get at least 12 to, I'd say 16, because there's at least 6 to 8 enemies. So it's a good place to grind at the beginning. Because 2 experience points are the most you're going to get in the beginning. Except for the boss battle that happens in a few minutes. But I don't remember what I was talking about here. I actually might have been explaining the whole TOC scheduling thing. Because at some point I was not paying attention to my HP. And it doesn't go great. Like, I didn't get any time defense hits hardly at all. So I think I got 2 more good battles. But then there's a game over. Spoilers, game over. But yeah, this is another reason why I hate post commentary, because I feel like I just blew through everything that it took me 45 minutes to talk about before in 20 minutes. So, hooray for that. What else did I talk about? Well, I mean, at least I know about timed hits. And hopefully, you do now too. But I guess I'll go back to talking about the TOC scheduling thing, because I kind of glazed over it compared to the previous discussion. But, like I said before, we only recorded gameplay on Mondays. Because that was the only day that Aaron was available to do it. And there's the game over. I cut from, restarting. I just cut right back to here. You didn't miss anything, except I did level up one time off camera. And I raised the attack points. I explained, or I thought I explained in the original recording that for Mario, he's a strong attacker, so I'm mostly going to be leveling up his attack points, and like every level that's divisible by 5, so like 5, 10, 15, 20, on those level ups, I will give him HP. And I will probably not worry about special points at all for Mario, because 90% of the time when I play through and I'm using Mario, I don't use the special attacks, because I feel like his physical strength is better. And now it's time for the first somewhat boss battle. Hey, are you looking at me? My hammer and I don't like you. Why did I wait so long here? What was I explaining? Oh well. Why am I still here? And why didn't I cut this out? Seriously, what the hell? Mario! You better be careful! He's definitely got a mean streak! Now you've got my hammer angry. You shouldn't have done that. He's just a boy. I do remember doing that from the original one. So, the Hammer Brothers, I believe they have 50 or 60 HP. So I take the first one down pretty easily, because, I mean, we're doing 24 damage a hit. Also, that attack, I have no idea what the time defense hit is for it, if there even is one. I'm pretty sure there are certain attacks where you just can't time defense them. Valor up! Alright, so there's Valor up, which is blue, and there's Vigor up, which is red. Valor up increases defense, Vigor up increases attack. So, the second Hammer Brother, he's going to take a little bit longer because I'm only doing half damage. But, I mean, he's still not a threat. Other than I don't know how to block this attack at all. Anyway, real quick, just to sum up the TOC scheduling thing. Aaron was only available on Mondays, so we did all of our game recording on Mondays. Except for his solo Let's Play, my solo Let's Play, and all the live shows were probably done at other points. However, at the very beginning, like the Saints Row 3 days, Aaron did his solo Let's Plays on Monday, so if you factor that in, we got a shit ton done in just one day. Considering we had content out every single day. Anyway, looks like the Hammer Brothers left one of their hammers behind. And Toad basically says we can have it. So, I mean, I'm not going to argue with it. I'll take a free hammer. Fuck it. Let's get a move on! I'll see you in the Mushroom Kingdom! Bring crack! Alright, so let's equip our hammer. And unfortunately, we don't get to see the hammer in action in this episode. But, trust me, it pounds enemies. At this point, I explained that I'm going to do some grinding off camera, which I did do. And to make sure that you check out all the links in the description. If you want to follow me on Twitter, get some ZombieExy merch. And, you know, if you're new, you can hit that subscribe button, find out when I have all new videos, which is pretty much every day now. And if you like what I'm doing, hit the like button. And, you know, thanks for watching. Thank you for bearing with this post commentary. And I will see you next time. Hopefully with the mic turned on in the initial recording.